From Pylos, Telemachus leaves again without wasting time. Nestor welcomed him with honor, offered him hospitality and truth, but he could not give Telemachus what he truly wanted, certain news of Odysseus. And yet, even without an answer, Telemachus does not turn back, because now he understands something essential. The search for his father is not a childish dream, but a path, and every step, even when it seems useless, is bringing him closer to the truth. So, following Nestor's advice, Telemachus travels towards Sparta. Sparta is different from Ithaca. It is not an island besieged by chaos, but a strong, wealthy, ordered kingdom ruled by a man who returned from war and rebuilt his home. That king is Menelaus, and it is impossible for Telemachus to enter that palace without feeling a blow in his chest, because everything he sees is what Ithaca could have been if Odysseus had returned. Telemachus arrives on a special day in Menelaus' palace. A wedding is being celebrated. There is music, there is wine, there is a crowd of guests, and the air is full of life. But Menelaus does not forget the laws of hospitality. Even in the middle of the celebration, he welcomes Telemachus and invites him to enter, to sit, and to eat. And Telemachus, as always, introduces himself with respect. But inside him, a tension rises. He knows he is about to ask the question that has haunted him for years. Menelaus watches Telemachus closely, because Telemachus carries on his face something Menelaus recognizes at once. It is not only physical resemblance, it is a shadow, a quiet dignity, a way of holding silence that reminds Menelaus of a man he has never forgotten. And so, even before Telemachus speaks his name, Menelaus senses the truth. This boy is Odysseus' son, and when Telemachus finally asks for news of his father, the atmosphere in the palace seems to shift, because the name Odysseus in that place is not an ordinary name. It carries the war, cunning, courage, and also a mystery, because Odysseus is the one great hero who never returned. Menelaus sighs, and for a moment the celebration around them feels distant. Menelaus says that even he wandered for a long time before seeing Sparta again. He speaks of how the sea kept many men away, and how the homecoming was, for some, harder than the war itself. And as he speaks, Telemachus understands that he is not listening only to a king. He is listening to a survivor. Then something unexpected happens. Helen enters the hall. Helen, the woman for whom the war began, the woman whose name burned like a spark across Greece. But Helen does not enter as a symbol. She enters as a queen, elegant, lucid, fully aware. And when she looks at Telemachus, she too understands at once who he is. Helen recognizes Odysseus' blood, and in that moment the story tightens around. And memory Menelaus and Helen begin to speak of Odysseus. They speak of Troy, and of how different he was from the other heroes. He was not the strongest. He was not the fiercest, but he was the most intelligent. Odysseus was the man able to go where no one else could go, to think what no one else thought, to find a way when everything seemed lost. Menelaus remembers the wooden horse. He remembers the deception, the patience, the cold discipline with which Odysseus held the men back while Troy slept, when a single sound could have ruined everything. Helen, instead, remembers another moment. She remembers when Odysseus entered Troy in disguise, risking his life, and she recognized him, but she did not betray him. Because in Odysseus there was something that even enemies respected, and yet, after those memories, silence returns. Because Telemachus' question still hangs in the air. Where is Odysseus? Menelaus then says what he knows. He does not have absolute certainty, but he has heard a story. During his own wanderings, Menelaus was held far from home, and in that time he encountered Proteus, an old man of the sea who knows many truths. And it was there that Menelaus learned something terrible and precious. Odysseus is alive, but he is a prisoner on Calypso's island, held far away from his home. Telemachus listens and feels his heart tighten, because that news is not the end of suffering, but it is the end of doubt. Odysseus is not a ghost. Odysseus is alive, and his story, at last, is about to truly begin again.